you imagine trying to solve a murder and you cause one?
NANI?!
Dynamite! Dynamite!
Okay. Amir Locke. Amir Locke should be alive. He should be able to say I love you to his mom right now. Amir Locke should be able to do whatever the hell he wants to do as long as it doesn't impede on anyone else. But we'll say it now and we'll say it forever. As long as we think in this country that the police serve any other purpose other than to harm citizens, we'll forever be stuck in this loop where police get to do crazy things. Like in 30 years, we're going to look back at this and say, we let police do what? The story. Amir Locke, African-American male in Minneapolis, was murdered while a no-knock warrant raid was taking place. In news report, I don't even want this one. I want this one. Amir Locke's death should insist anyone who cares about gun rights. But the story that I want to talk about is this. We're going to look at the body cam footage in slow motion. We're going to break it down. But before we go into the breakdown of this, I'm going to give you guys the background. So the St. Paul Police Department had a warrant out for another person's arrest. And they found out that this person had a residence in Minneapolis. So the Minneapolis Police Department, without notifying the St. Paul Police Department, who requested a knock warrant, like they wanted to just watch this place and catch the person when they left out. They didn't want to do anything like this. But the Minneapolis Police Department secretly went behind another police department's back, obtained a no-knock warrant from a judge in the dead of night. They went to the wrong apartment twice, and then proceeded to enter into this building and kill someone who wasn't even on the warrant. Another thing you should know that the Minneapolis Police Department failed to tell us: he was a legal gun owner. He has no criminal record. He wasn't on the warrant, and he wasn't the suspect. They called him a suspect in this video that you're about to see. Watch it in slow motion, and then we'll watch it in real time. And I'll say this. This is why it's so important to own property. Because this is an apartment complex. This apartment complex gave away the key to an apartment, and they didn't even ask to check the warrant. They just check the warrant to see if the person who signed the lease is actually on the warrant. They gave them a key to get in. That should terrify you. That should terrify you. The right to your own property, no searches and seizures. He was an innocent man. So they kick the couch that Amir is sleeping on. Amir is sleeping. They kick the couch. Like, it's just mindless. Why are you kicking the couch? You had him at a disadvantage. Why not just go into cover? Why not give him instructions to follow? This all happens within 9 seconds. And we already did a video about Stephen King back in California, who he got 7 seconds to get instructions. And they killed him within 7 seconds and stood there for 2 minutes while he bled out and died. But could you imagine being asleep? But Amir's going to do something amazing. Amir's going to do something amazing in a few seconds that these other trained professionals couldn't do. I really need you guys to see this. I really need you guys to see this. That's the gun in Amir's hand. Amir is armed. But I really need you to see this. I'm about to stretch out the screen. Amir, even in the heat of battle, in his sheer confusion, has enough trigger discipline to point the gun down in a way and not have his finger on the trigger. Amir, who was startled awake, has no police or military background, only has his concealed handgun license, was kicked out of his slumber, yelled at and had multiple lights shining on him, had enough discipline, enough control, enough care and respect for the people who would go on to execute him. That's why we say, fuck the police. Because he gave them the benefit of the doubt and they didn't give him a chance. They just gave him doubt. What is the purpose of having a gun to protect yourself if the police can just come in and do this to any random person? Guns cannot protect you from this. Guns cannot protect you from an ambush. Because that's what this was. They ambushed this man. They ambushed him. It's crazy. But the plot thickens.
Homicide that St. Paul police were working. We really didn't know much about that until now. We knew that they were working a homicide. They wanted to search an apartment in Minneapolis. To do that, they had to get Minneapolis police involved. Now, they do not use no-knock warrants. Minneapolis police, they tell us, did want a no-knock warrant, so they served the warrant. Then we all know what happened then. We know that Amir Locke was killed somewhere in that situation. Well, what we know is that last night there was an arrest made in the homicide that they were originally investigating when they went into that apartment. We're told that a 17-year-old was arrested that was in the Winona area. We were told that it happened last night and he's now being processed in Ramsey County this morning. Now, we don't know his name. There's still a lot we don't know, but we do know that they took someone into custody. Now, there is a search warrant here that is in question. One big deal about this arrest is that this no-knock warrant we've been talking about will likely be unsealed. And we were told that St. Paul police want it unsealed as soon as today. And that should have a lot of information in as to why the no-knock warrant was issued. Everyone keeps talking about the warrant, and we should get more information on that today. We should also find out a little bit more about who the suspect is, what happened in that original murder case, and kind of how we got to this point where everyone is asking questions of why.
Could you imagine you're trying to solve a murder and you cause another one? Yeah, police are notoriously bad at solving crimes. They solve homicides less than 18%. So that's a national average. So like they're notoriously bad at it. And could you imagine trying to solve a murder and you cause one? That's fucking crazy, man.
Amir Locke died.
Right. And that warrant should give us more information as to what police were looking for when they went to the Bolero Flats where Amir Locke was killed. What has to happen, Susan Elizabeth, today for that warrant to be unsealed?
Well, we are told that,
it's interesting to see what the warrant's going to say, but we already know from the police chief that the Amir Locke's name wasn't on there. So it doesn't matter what like the thing. And I'll tell you guys the real reason why they did the no knock warrant, right? I'll tell you guys the real reason behind it. Let's deep dive her. But let's talk about the people who are talking about this and the people who aren't. Amir Locke was a gun-tooting American, a gun-tooting Second Amendment, right to carry, right to bear arms individual. The NRA's silence is deafening. Their silence is deafening. It's deafening because, for some strange reason, they weren't there for Philando Castile, and they're definitely not going to be here for him. Control organizations in the United States was formed after the Civil War by white Southerner brothers by the fact that enslaved people were now free, entitled to vote, and arming themselves to defend their freedom. The group called the Ku Klux Klan and organized for the first time in 1866. They were often made up of local leaders like sheriffs, judges, and would use force of law to disarm black communities before rampaging through them. The NRA tells the tale of two tapes because when it was school shootings, they are everywhere to be seen. You kill a white person in a school and you're a white person too, the NRA is going to be there to defend those guns being in those schools. They, at one point, there was, and this is why I say history is not going to be kind to us. At one point in our life, we had so many people being killed in schools, the immediate solution for us was to give more people guns in schools. That's like saying if you're drowning, instead of me giving you, the Heimlich maneuver or mouth-to-mouth or chest compressions, I just keep pouring water on you. Look, we're doing something. It's crazy to think about, but it's true, right? It's true. We see it. Protesters call for Minneapolis police chief's resignation after Amir Locke's killing. A protest across Minneapolis continued. It's snow on the ground. It's snow on the ground. People ready to go. Minneapolis police last week shot and murdered Amir Locke, 22-year-old black man, while executing a no-knock search warrant in connection to a homicide investigation that Locke was not involved in. Suspected in the investigation, 17-year-old male was arrested Monday, police confirmed via social media. The mayor has put a temporary lock on no-knock warrants, but why? Why do we need no-knock warrants? It's a homicide, so you're looking for a gun. What could you have done with a gun? Because you have the warrant to search the residence. So it's not like he could hide the gun and there's people on the outside, if they're good, to catch him from throwing anything in. What would they be able to do in the time that it took you to knock and then enter the residence otherwise? Right? What would it take? And then you got to think about what this means in the grand scheme of things. These no-knock warrants have to do with money. Because in 2019, civil asset forfeiture